attacks in your living room. Creepy little gremlins oozing slime in your VCR. Stacks of films to frighten and entertain, hiding in your closet and duplicating on your shelves. It's time to watch. It's time to be scared. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload. Don't look behind you. It's a mess back there. It's a VHS overload. Oh, 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 oh.
Howdy, gang. Hey, the poet, and welcome to yet another edition of VHS Overload. Now, just a warning to poet, if more people don't come in here so we can discuss this is probably going to be rather short. So, there's only so long I can go on about do I still collect horror VHS and what kind do I collect before, it gets redundant. So, this might be a little bit shorter. If we have some more people join us before I tie things up, then we'll get their thoughts on it. The poet, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And anybody else that happens to come in during the stream, I would love to hear your thoughts on it as well. So, and if this is short and people don't get a chance or an opportunity to come in, I'd love to hear, comment on the video after it's, on YouTube. So I just want to get some housekeeping stuff out of the way before, hey, Gory Tiger, before I get to this edition of VHS Overload. Now, I think I'm going to have to make a change to the one of the movies that I'm going to be talking about on They're All Messed Up tomorrow night, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, hopefully. I was going to do Shaitan from 1974, which is a Hindi film. But, folks, in no way, shape, or form was this a, horror slasher film. It supposedly had to do with the serial killer, but I went through it, folks, and it didn't even make sense why it was on the list that I was going through, which may happen from time to time. So I think that I'm going to be covering a movie from 1975 along with 1974's The Texas Chainsaw Massacre called Darker Than Night, which is appears to be a Spanish horror film. The poet, you say you have a collection of Blu-ray and DVD of horror. Well, feel free to talk about those as well. Hey, Hope. Hope, if you want to talk about some VHS that you have, or even if you don't have VHS, but if you want to talk about some of your favorite horror, Blu-rays or DVDs or anything like that, I mean, we'll discuss that too. So we've got They're All Messed Up coming up tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Like I said, I'm probably going to have to change that. Well, I'm going to change the Shaitan movie to Darker Than Night. Then Friday, because I didn't get to do it last Friday because I was working the late shift. But we are going to have another Evil Dead Chick Slasher Fest. It's going to be a Thanksgiving themed slasher fest this time around. Blood Rage and Home Sweet Home are the movies that are on tap. I do have another poll up for the next time I do a watch along, and I haven't had a chance to look at it today. And Campbell Ferox, Campbell Holocaust, and The Hills Have Eyes, which The Hills Have Eyes, directed by Wes Craven, the original Hills Have Eyes, is winning right now with 50% of the votes. Cannibal Holocaust is in second place, and Cannibal Ferox is in third place with 8% the votes. So if you want to get in there and vote, you still wish you had yours. So there's not a whole lot of people, unless they're just really hardcore into collecting that type of stuff, that have those anymore. But I'm glad that at least some of you showed up. Maybe you can talk about some favorite horror VHS that you had back when you were still collecting them, if you want to. I don't have a whole lot anymore either. I used to have, a lot more. And now mine is, kind of dwindled down to either collectible things or nostalgia wise, or they're very hard to find in any other format other than VHS. I hope you say it's cool that the Terrifier movies are getting a VHS release. Yes, that is cool. Things like House of the Devil, I enjoyed getting, specifically on a VHS. I mean, I didn't watch the VHS, but it was cool to get it with the set back when I got it, because House of the Devil is supposed to be, nostalgia driven, like a 80s type film. For those of you that maybe haven't seen House of the Devil, interesting little film, in my opinion. But thinking ahead to November the 21st, folks, I am going to be having another Evil Dead Chicks Slumber Party. This is going to be a Nightmare on El Dorado Avenue. And we're going to, hopefully there'll be several of us watching the original Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984, directed by Wes Craven, and Nightmare on Elm Street 4. So be sure to bring your stay awake pills and your coffee or your caffeinated beverage of choice, so you can stay awake for both of these movies, as well as you don't want Freddy to get you, right? Okay. And before we get started with the actual meat of this live stream, I just want to remind everybody, guys and gals, that there are several different ways that you can support me in the channel, and it won't cost you a dime. And as much as I appreciate the super chats and the super stickers, people joining my channel, people joining my Patreon, and all that good stuff, I do always like to tell people that, there are free ways that you can support me in the channel and help me get up into the algorithms of YouTube. And one of the ways is by subscribing. If you are enjoying the content I'm putting out and you have not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Now is the time to subscribe. Yeah, I got to that 1,000 subscriber milestone I set for myself, but why not keep going and improving along the way? So if you subscribe, nobody has to know. I don't have to know. Nobody else has to know, unless you want to tell me or something, because chances are I'm not really focusing on who has subscribed. I'm looking at the numbers. Okay. And I'm also not going to come to your house and try to minister to you or sell you candy bars and cookies. And you can watch as many of the live streams and videos as you want or as few as you want. Nobody has to know that either. Okay. So why not subscribe? Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the new content I've got coming out. Also, hit the like button on stuff you especially enjoy. And if you like it all, heck, hit that like button all across the board, folks. And here's one more way that you can support me in the channel. It won't cost you a dime, won't cost anybody you tell about the channel a dime. And that's by sharing with friends and family members that you think might enjoy the content I'm putting out. Share with them my channel name. The Poet, you say, do you have any out of print VHS? I possibly do, the Poet. I'm gonna put the channel handle in there. You guys and gals are solid. But with all that being said, let's dig into this edition of VHS Overload. And I don't know. I think some of these would be considered out of print, the Poet, because I have things like, and I found it when Steve and I were cleaning out the garage. Hopefully, it didn't get VHS rot. I didn't know that was a thing until Steve told me that if you leave VHS out in garages and stuff like that and don't seal them up good, they can get VHS tape rot. So I'm hoping that this one didn't, because I don't know that this one's in any other format. And it's a film called Twisted Nightmare. And the title is cool. And I like watching it from time to time because it kind of is like a slasher movie with this. I guess this guy that died that was, he was mentally handicapped. And something happened with a fire in a barn, and these friends were blamed, and they all get called back to the place where the main girl's brother seemed to burn up in a barn. But apparently he comes back as a Native American shaman or something, and kills these people off in very gruesome ways. And like I said, the whole movie doesn't entirely make sense and is cohesive, but I do enjoy watching it from time to time. But again, I don't think Twisted Nightmare is in any other format other than the VHS tape. If I am wrong about that, feel free to, tell me I'm wrong. I have, well, actually, my mom is in possession of these because when I left home and me and Steve got married 12 years ago, I left these with my mom, but I'm pretty sure these VHS are out of print. And that's Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 with like the original covers. And I'm sure my mom still has them, so I guess technically they would still be mine. I'm trying to think of some more that I might have. I Dismember Mama is probably considered out of print. That is a terrible, terrible film, but I do have that on VHS. Trying to think here. That's the ones I'm thinking of off the top of my head, the Poet, that would be, horror related. So I would love to hear, even in the comments after after this live stream is over, if other people have some out of print VHS. Another collectible VHS I have is part of a set that Steve got me several years ago for the basement. I think that's what that's called. I think Camp Motion Pictures put it out. Just a second here. Yeah, so let me share my screen with you guys so you can see the stuff from IMDb. Just 1 second here. The Basement is a film. Hopefully y'all can see this. Oops. It's not what I wanted to do there. See if we can make that a little bigger, get me off the screen, because this is what my box set looks like, if you can see the picture there. And it's got this woman who's trying to come up out of the basement. It looks like she's being pulled down by some zombies or something. This is a retro 80s horror collection. You got 5 films on DVD plus a VHS tape of The Basement. And this was put out by Camp Motion Pictures. And so the Basement film, 4 strangers are summoned to the basement of an abandoned house by a mysterious entity known only as the Sentinel. One after another, they are forced to witness heinous deeds they have yet to commit and which will damn them for all eternity. And it's directed by Timothy O'Rourke. And you probably won't see any names that you you know. So a little trivia about The Basement. It was shot in 1989 over a period of 22 days, but abandoned by the director after filming. It wasn't edited until Camp Motion Pictures picked up the distribution rights in 2010, and it finally debuted on VHS and DVD the following year. So, but that is a collectible one to me. It's probably, let me go back to myself here. Not that y'all care to look at me, but that is one that I really like because on the DVD it has a bunch of old Camp Motion pictures, films. Like I think it does have Wood Chipper Massacre and Cannibal Camp Out and all those types of movies. A movie called Captives, I believe, is on there as well. It's just a fun little kind of mix and match grab bag sort of thing. And I think Steve bought it for me. We saw it at a convention several years ago, and he said, "Hey, would you like this?" And I said, "Yeah, that was pretty cool." And so he bought it for me. I can't remember how much he paid for it right now, but you can probably imagine it wasn't as cheap as buying it from just buying it from Amazon or something like that. When you buy things at a convention, usually it's going to be a little more expensive. Let me see if I can find it on Amazon. Maybe Amazon has some. Yeah, I don't see it on there. Because I thought some of you guys and gals might be interested in it. Oh, wait a second. I think I may have found it. So there's a seller selling it for $52.78. the Basement Retro 80s Horror Collection. Um, I was trying to, what I was trying to get to was the movies that were included on the DVD. Um, okay, so no, I guess it doesn't have Wood Chipper Massacre, but it has you get 5 films on DVD and one on VHS. They include The Basement, Captives, Cannibal Campout, and Video Violence 1 and 2. So if you're interested, you know, hey, Menelect, thank you, sir, for the $7 super chat. I appreciate that. I hadn't seen Menelect in a while. It's good to see him back in here. But if you want to buy one from a seller on Amazon, you can for $52.78. I don't think it was that high when Steve got it for me. So I guess they are considering it a collectible now. So Menelect, since you're in here, do you still collect horror VHS, or have you had some horror VHS in the past that you wanted to bring up? Do you have any collectible ones or anything like that? Um, but I was thinking, like I said, I don't have very many now, but back in the day, I had a ton of them. And I had so many that I had to start putting numbers on them and cataloging them like they would do at a video store. That, and I don't have those like that anymore. I just have, like I said, I have a handful of them. And I think that's the way most people have went, whether it's horror VHS or other types of VHS. But I do have some. I guess you would consider them collectible. I have a couple of copies of Evil Dead on VHS that came in. Remember when they had those collectible horror boxes back several years ago? I got a couple of those, and so I have a couple of those VHS. Like you said, no VHS collectibles or otherwise. Well, that's cool. You know, it, I think nowadays too that the VHS collecting is kind of a dying form now. Like I said, every once in a while, like I've said on other versions of VHS Overload, when I've talked about, expensive VHS and stuff, there's still some that go for a hefty price. For instance, Tales from the Quad Zone, that was directed by the same guy that did Black Devil Doll. And that, I'm talking about the original Black Devil Doll, because I know there was a remake done as well. But yeah, Tales from the Quad Zone went for a ton of money. And who knows, I may have some that are worth money and I just don't realize they are. Oh, goodness, folks. And there was a key video label back in the day that a lot of those have, they're very hard to find. And back before Terror Train came out on DVD and then Blu-ray, I hadn't seen Terror Train, and I knew it was a slasher that had Jamie Lee Curtis in it, and I had to get my hands on it. So this was back in the days when I did the Yahoo auctions. I know not many people remember the Yahoo auctions, but they used to be a thing before eBay pretty much took over everything. And I could win a lot easier on Yahoo auctions than I can on eBay. And I used to get a ton of VHS back in the day that way. And I wanted to get Terror Train really, really bad. And the only version I could find at the time was on VHS under the Key Video label. And I ended up being in a bidding war with someone else and ended up paying $21 for a VHS. And that was expensive to me. Now you hear about people paying $700 or more for VHS tapes. And I'm like, no, I did the $21 thing just to get my hands on Terror Train at the time. It seems like there was another one that was on the Key Video label as well, and I'm forgetting it, and it was expensive as well. I used to also go to back when they had the VHS movie stores in the malls. I would go and I discovered these clamshell cases that, completely closed up around the VHS. They weren't in a sleeve or anything like that. And I just thought they were the coolest things ever. And I got several of those. I got some Fulci movies. I ended up getting Torso because I didn't know any better. And I still don't like Torso to this day. And I don't know what I did with my clamshell of Torso. Somebody probably would have loved to have had it because I used to, the ones I bought new, I would keep them in pristine condition. A lot of the VHS that I bought would still smell new. That was how good I took care of mine. Now, the ones I got from the auctions and stuff, they were kind of a mixed bag. I also used to go to these like flea markets with my brother, and we would when he started driving, we would go and we would look at stuff, and he would look at comic books and stuff like that, and I would look for old issues of Fangoria magazine, and I would look for horror VHS tapes, and that's how I discovered Rocktober Blood. Back in the day, it didn't have a cover on it or anything like that, but there was this movie in a clear plastic case. I found it in a box of movies that this guy was selling. And he only wanted like $5 for it. And it was called October Blood. It was just in a clear plastic case, no artwork or anything on it. And I just thought by the title, it sounded like a horror movie. Took it home. And although October Blood is not a great horror film, it's a fun horror film, and I still to this day enjoy watching it. I'm trying to think if there's any other VHS stories I can share with you guys and gals right now. And they're escaping me now. So I guess if nobody else has anything to bring up, I did manage to stay on here about 30 minutes. I was thinking 5 minutes and I'd be done. But I want to thank Menelect. Thank you again, sir, for the $7 super chat and for also joining us for this episode of VHS Overload. I want to thank the Poet and Gory Tiger, Hope, Menelect, all you guys and gals for being in the chat and keeping me company tonight. For those of you that were watching but maybe didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat, I thank you as well. And for those of you that couldn't join us tonight and you watch us on the replay, I thank you as well. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I also want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off up here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night, folks. We're through the middle of the week. A lot of us got a couple more days, and my poor husband has to work Saturday. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself because he'll probably be gone for about 10 hours that day. But I'm sure I'll find something to do. But if you love Aussie as much as I do, get out there, blast some Aussie, and try your best to live the Aussie way. And what do I mean by that? I mean, don't stay stuck in the past, folks. Move forward from the present into the future. But don't worry about the future, though. And don't ever, ever give up on your dreams. Again, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday night, folks. And I'll see everybody next time.